So, how to communicate with the earth and to give back to her and to yourself. I learnt this at a very young age from a beautiful little pamphlet. It's a very ancient technique. It feels like an ancient technique and our birthright, because it wakes up different parts of our brain which we have lost through time. If you think about our ancestors who were surrounded by bears and wolves and all sorts of things, they had more of a 360-degree awareness. They're aware of spirit life as well as physical life, and part of our modern protection from spirit life is that lack of awareness. So beware. That's the first warning before embarking on what I'm about to share with you. It's a lovely old shamanic technique and Wiccan or pre-Wiccan technique as well. The earth will start to communicate with you in your own capacity, in your own way. So for me, she would talk to me through fluid imagery. She would give me stories, a very old story. She gave me the first Lilith story before I'd even heard of Lilith, and various different ones. She would teach me amazing gifts for life, which I still haven't learned. Sorry, Mother Earth. Things like she would tell me to walk through that massive patch of brambles, and it was a big patch of brambles, and I'd be like, that's gonna hurt, I'm gonna be scratched to death. And sure enough, first 2-3 times I was. And she said, do it with confidence, relaxed confidence. And in no time at all, I was walking through that big patch of brambles, sailing through it without a scratch. Right through to how different sacred places will communicate with us and teach us. And we've become walkers between worlds and in all three. So that, I mean, it's something that you can do now if you're quiet enough in yourself and you have the concept of beginner's mind. Beginner's mind you can also learn through things like Kiaikido or meditation or sacred clowning, which is amazing. Great teachers out there. But it's being completely in the moment, in that childlike awareness, without any expectations. Expectations kill experience. It's one of the wisest lines I was ever taught by one of my sacred clown teachers. Expectations kill experience. So we clear ourselves and we enter that sacred place like it's the first time, without just open awareness, with the intention of being shown how we can help, heal, or just shown. And you'll find yourself walking in a particular direction around the stones or wherever you are. You might be drawn to a particular standing stone and you'll receive healing or gunk if it's been polluted and you're not protected. So yeah, protection is good. But also fear is not. So I'll come to that as is shown in the book, which I will promote because I think it's a wonderful little book. It's called Finding Your Way in the Woods, by Barry Expedient, and he's written another book and changed his name back, but I've not read his later book, and I can't vouch for it or for Barry, but hello Barry if you're watching, and yeah, thank you, amazing. So The concept of it is finding your sacred place in nature, and having some trees around is really a good idea. Mine was in a forest in London, um, which was kind of crazy because it was quite a dangerous area. So, you know, be wise, look after yourself. Luckily, I had a good teacher who never told me anything. So she was a lot wiser than I was. She didn't talk, blah, blah, blah. But she did answer questions when I asked her questions. One of the few things that she did say was, the only fear to fear is fear. And learn to protect yourself first. So learn to surround yourself in light. Learn about honoring the four directions, the elements. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then this video may not be for you, but do explore that. And maybe it is. So, yeah, and you find that sacred place and you get to know it physically. You get to know the plants and the different trees and the animals, like the boundaries of the robin, where the robin's territory is, things like that. And you lived gifts. And we worked in, a few of us worked not together, but a few of us worked in an old rubbish dump in this woods in London, and cleared out the rubbish and planted indigenous trees. Trees! So you get to know the place physically first, and then you go deeper and deeper and down, and the earth will start to communicate with you, as will the spirit life, when you're ready, will begin to show itself when we're quiet enough. So learning to be quiet through meditation is important first steps. And becoming with trees, which I've talked about in my other videos. It's a tradition that was found in China, where they became with trees and plants, probably an old Taoist technique, and in America, and the Celts also had their way of becoming with trees. Becoming is a word that I've incorporated. It came from a lovely Native American medicine man called Fool's Crow, and where there's the lovely Celtic version. Marion Green talks about in one of her books, Magic for the Aquarian Age, I think it's called, where you stand with your hands against the trunk of a tree and you sink back into the tree, like sinking into a sofa, a beloved sofa, back with your mind down into the roots, feeling all the earth pulses and the energy of the earth, all the little wigglers, the water, the sap rising up the trunk, up to the branches, out to the sky. And you feel the light shimmers of light coming down through the branches. And for me, as a young teenager in London, it was the only place I felt home. So if you feel that this isn't your home, and you feel a little lost, it's an amazing technique, but easier for children, I have discovered in time. So there is an easier way to start, which is the Taoist version, and I'll give you the beginning because the rest of it gets a bit more powerful and takes more training, which is like the Celtic version. You greet the tree first, and then you get a sense of welcome or and if the tree says there's usually a good reason for it. For example, in a period of my life when I'd got into where I thought I'd found a truth and I'd found an aspect of the group mind called that some call the emissary, or the ego, and it felt like truth, but the trees knew before I did, so I got a no. So there's usually a good reason, and that's okay. More meditation, more practice, and they will welcome you. But approaching them like a child in beginner's mind, without expectation, they so react to, and they react beautifully to children, as do plants. You can become with plants in a different way. So the Taoist way is to approach the tree if she welcomes you, or he, and you put your hands on the tree, and you give through your right hand from your heart, and you receive through your left hand to your heart, and you create this circuit: left hand, right hand, heart, tree, circuit. And so the more you get to know the spirit of your place, physically, then spiritually it will start to wake up and teach you, and the earth will start to communicate with you. I remember once meeting a group of dowsers who were playing around with the earth energy in a sacred area, planting rods of probably copper, things like that. And I had a reaction from the earth, and I wandered up and I asked one of the dowsers, I said, have you been shown by the earth what she needs? Have you asked? Because she will tell you what she needs and show you. And it was quite a new concept to them, but an enriching one, I think. Yeah, so it's not always beautiful, and it's very powerful, so do take care of yourself and make sure you're doing grounding work, something like Tai Chi or jogging or martial arts. Learn to protect yourself first, but have no fear. In any ritual or spiritual situation, your worst enemy is fear. I've been in some serious ritual situations where I've had to keep really centered, and you use any fear or any panic or anything that's going on around you to remind you to stay centered and strong and have faith. A wise guide once showed me that often we draw things to us for a reason. They are reflections of part of ourselves, and like I hopefully have talked about in one of my other videos on psychic protection, sometimes the line between what is our imagination and what is real is very, very thin. And life will, there's an old saying in the magic circles where life will only throw at you what we can overcome. We have the power to overcome. So there is no need for fear. There is need for centering. There's need to learn quietness. There's need to learn to be a channel, a reed flute through which the winds of heaven can play. As a lovely old Taoist saying, the Native Americans say, a hollow bone. So these are important steps to learn first, and then the gifts are just unbelievable that you get from nature herself and the animal and spirit queendoms. Another lovely thing you can do, which can help, is mask work, which is an ancient tradition. So you gather leaves and twigs and things on intuition, You might pick up a stick and it will be a yes or a no inside. You might go to a leaf or a branch on a tree. It'll be a yes or a no from the tree. And trust the yeses. Gather what you need to make a mask that represents whatever aspect that you want to explore, be it the sacred feminine or the masculine, Hern, green man, and make that mask. You can do it on a new moon or whatever you feel. And you make that mask and you bless it in whatever way suits you. And then you first can relax in whatever method, by meditation or by trance dance, which is exploring your hand and movement and dance. Let your hand dance like you're a child watching a dragonfly for the first time, and then your elbow comes in, and then different aspects of your body, you just observe them. You observe the dance until your whole body is dancing itself, and then you find a lovely quiet space, and then you put on the mask. And I'll give you a wonderful gift that came from the earth to me, because you're being so good watching up till now. The double spiral, the Celtic double spiral. A wonderful way to still the mind, and a gift that came from Pachamama, Mother Earth herself, to me. So you have in your mind the Celtic double spiral, anti-clockwise, turning to clockwise. And you start, without trying, you start walking the anti-clockwise bit. And as you walk, you know that you are dropping your mind. You're dropping your mind so that when you walk naturally, without trying, without doing, into the clockwise spiral, your mind will still by the time you reach the end of it. Then you can sit down or stand and put on the mask and become. I recommend reading Barry's book, and I recommend taking care of yourself, and all the best. Blessed be.